Gentlemen, welcome to the Be the Man podcast. My guest today is Nate Feathers, and I know nothing about him. He and I just met this week, and he doesn't know me either. So we just met this week on an Instagram live, and awesome vibe, awesome energy, and a great message for men. So I was like, man, let's get on and have a conversation. So, brother, welcome to the Be the Man podcast. Why don't you just tell us about yourself, your story, your family, and your message?
Sure. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on, man. It's kind of funny because that live was one of the best lives I've ever been on and done, and it just was so good that when you were like, "Hey, let's do this," I was needed to needed to connect with you again. So I'm glad we're doing this. Um, yeah, so I am a father of six, and the youngest is 6 weeks yesterday, and the oldest is 20 or will be 20 in May. So just a hair under 20. Um, and I got everything in between. So 20, 17, almost 18, and then 8, 7, 3, and 6 weeks old. So it's been a
Massive gap.
yeah. So that actually is I was married before, had two children. We were pretty much done, and then that whole relationship went awry, and we can talk about that too. Nothing's off limits with me. So and then I met my wife now, and I always wanted a big family, so two for me just seemed real little. And so when she said she wanted to have kids, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so here I am at 43 with a 6 week old.
Yes, sir. And like I told you the other day, I'm jealous. I so here's something fascinating, and I'd love to hear your perspective too.
Yeah.
Early on as a dad, it was a chore to do the diapers, to do the
Mm,
sleepless nights, bouncing babies that just wouldn't stop crying, and it was so much work. And you're exhausted. You're trying to figure it out, right? You're just like, what? How
right.
does this work? How do babies work? Like, where's the manual
Yeah.
for this thing? And they don't give a
Ugh.
crap about your agenda or what's important to you, your priorities, like whatever.
Right.
So you're just like enduring it. And I wanted to be a good
Hmm.
dad. I'm like, I'm gonna make the most of this. But when we got down to our last two or three kids, and again, I enjoyed my kids. We have seven,
Yeah.
right? I love family
Yeah.
like you do. Absolutely love kids. When I got down to the younger ones, and I realized like once this is over, like this is over. And
Yeah.
I started to like cherish even diapers. It sounds
Yeah.
crazy. Like I got one-on-one time with these little babies just looking right in my eyes, and then potty times. You get little ones just screaming from the bathroom, "Daddy, come wipe me!" All
Yeah.
that stuff.
Right.
And when I was first did it, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait till it's over." And then at the end, I was like, I'm gonna be sad when this is over. And I
Yeah.
genuinely miss the little ones and can't wait to be.
Hmm.
There's something I love every stage so far. Our oldest
Yeah.
is 21. I love
Uh,
every stage. Man, the little ones, they're so much work, but they are so fun.
yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And I have like a love-hate relationship with every stage. Every stage has its pains and frustrations, right? Where you're like pulling your hair out. I don't know what I'm doing. I remember my oldest was in eighth grade, and I looked at him and I was like, dude, you're my oldest. I don't know what I'm doing. I was in eighth grade once, but I've never been a father of an eighth grade. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, praying something sticks, man. I'm over here trying. And I honestly think that was a great conversation because he realized, oh,
Exactly.
dad doesn't know everything either. Like he's trying to, like, I'm trying. I don't know. And it's okay to not know.
That's awesome.
But I I I would say that every stage has so many great things. So the baby, I'm with you. When the oldest was born, I was like, what is going on? You're trying to figure all this stuff out. And for guys that are just getting into this stage of life, it's really hard, really frustrating. And it also feels like your wife just drops into it and is like, yeah, this is what I do. And it almost feels like it's unfair and we don't know what we're doing. You're right. There's no manual. And I won't say our wives have an unfair advantage, but I really do love that. I believe in God. I love that God put in them the cellular structures and the way it is to actually become a mom as she is growing the baby inside her. We don't get that. So she will automatically do things because it's just intuitive and feels right. And all of that is from nature. You watch mama bear is a real thing. You don't mess with grizzly cubs because mama is somewhere around and she will hurt you. Um, a lioness, like babes or cubs, they crawl all over her. They just get it. And it's harder for us because we didn't get the oxytocin levels and the bonding and all of that stuff as a
Well,
with
nine
babies.
9 months of literally being one with
Yes.
another living being. That's a
Yes.
beautiful thing that God created for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you rest that baby's head. Oh, mama rests her baby on her chest, and he hears home because he's heard that heartbeat for so long. It's just normal. So that's beautiful, and I love that. So for dads, it was really, really hard on the front end, but now I'm like what you said. I change most diapers because that's a chance for me to connect with the little guy. I mean, we had a mess last night. It was blowout, all that,
The
and I'm sitting there.
blowouts.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. And I just was like, turn the tub on because we got to wash him off. It was one of those. But that's me. And then I bathed him. So I'm right there. He
Yep.
gets that. I found out that uh, like pheromones that the wife puts off during pregnancy and up into birth, actually, the man smells those, it will decrease his testosterone because testosterone inhibits oxytocin. And so it helps decrease our testosterone levels in that time. So we actually can bond with our kids,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And I love that again, that those things that God puts in us
Yep.
to give us the ability to have that bonding time. We just have to take it.
Exactly.
We just have to take it.
And I think there's something there. It's like, okay, it requires a little more deliberate action and intention on
Mhm.
our part, some real purpose and being more proactive.
Mhm.
But that's the way it should be. That
Right.
as men, like, no, this is my opportunity. I'm gonna step up to the plate for this. I'm gonna do whatever I have to
Right.
do. I'm gonna work on my own patience, my own stuff so that I can be a better man and lean into
Mhm.
this. And genuinely, I feel bad for the dads who aren't leaning into cleaning up the messes and changing the diapers and getting into the messiness of being a father, because in the mess are also the rewards, right?
Yeah. That's where the connection happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And then you step into like toddlerhood and they just love you. They want to be on you and all over you. Like they're just jumping all over. It can be annoying, but at the same time, if you think like you said, like this is over, this will be over at some point.
So
You
fast.
just start going, wow, I love it. Yeah, just crawl all over me.
How many
Um,
times did you get kicked or hit in the nuts? Like raising six and
yeah,
seven kids,
right.
man. And there wasn't a single time I could like lay down or get close to the ground without turning into a jungle gym. Like every single
Absolutely.
time. And
Yeah.
and if you come home exhausted like I did, and they're like, "Yeah, Dad," I had a choice. Like it was like this crossroad immediately. Like, do I tell him how tired I am? Do I tell him no? Do I get upset with him? Or do I say, you know what, who's going to be the man here? Like, let's
Right.
go. Let's generate some energy. Let's be a dad. Even though yeah, of course I'm exhausted, but I
Yeah.
want to play with them. They want to play with me. Let's go. Right. And that
Yeah.
turned into the best memories.
Yeah, I've had plenty, and I would say that that's actually part of my journey was becoming healthier because I got more energy. I was able to hold them, move them. Like, I mean, I can press them overhead. Like, I am some superhero to them, and I could just keep going. My whole goal as I got further into my fitness, I was like, I'm going to run them into the ground. I'm going to make it so that they
Same.
ask me
Same.
to like stop.
Same. And
Yeah,
so the catalyst for me was I want to hear your story too of fitness.
yeah,
So my parents divorced when I was really young. Stepdads came and went, several of them. And I
mhm,
remember my dad would come to visit maybe once, maybe twice a year. He'd just show up for a
yeah,
few hours and visit. And I remember one time he rolled around. I was probably 13, and I was a pretty big kid, and I wanted to wrestle. I mean, I was just a rough, tumbling, awkward kid. I wanted to wrestle. I wanted to be physical, right?
yeah,
And I grabbed him, and he's like, no, no, don't do that. Stop. Like, oh no, I'm older. Like, and he just shut me down. He wouldn't wrestle or do
yeah,
anything physical. And I remember
yeah,
as a 13-year-old kid, I'm like, I will never do that. I will never
yeah.
ever do that. I will be in great enough shape to wrestle with my kids and my grandkids as long as they want to keep going. And
Absolutely.
as a young teen, I was like, no, man, I'm not playing that game. Because
Yep.
mostly because I was so disappointed. And my
Yeah.
dad shows up. Why can't I wrestle with my own dad? And so
Yeah.
that was a driver for me. And I'm with you, brother. I'm like, I'm going to be in peak condition my entire life so that I
Yeah.
can wrestle with my kids, so that I can dance with my grandkids or great grandkids at their weddings. Like
Yeah.
I'm in this for the long game, and I need to be
Yeah.
healthy and
Same.
energized.
Same.
So
That's the
tell us
thing.
about your journey, man.
Yeah. So the fitness side of it, I really did take a switch. Like I had done like challenges, and I've been in like working out in the gym since like college. I played soccer in high school and college, and and then when through the gym, I got into fight training, and
Yeah.
so I fought for a while. And yeah, yeah, love it. And then I got into CrossFit after my wife was like, "Hey, I really don't want you to get punched in the face anymore." And so it was one of those, got to keep the moneymaker going,
Yeah.
um, so when I got into CrossFit, I really started to get the energy and the body that I wanted. And I mean, for some people, they're worried they're going to get hurt. I just tell people, take it slow, be disciplined enough to learn the form and learn control. That way you don't get hurt. But that's when I started really getting the body I wanted. But what I realized was I started, I don't know what changed it, but I was like, I want to live to 150, but I don't want to be like this decrepit, like almost
Same.
turning into dust, right?
Yep.
And so I started looking at health as the, like you said, the long game. What does it look like for me to live a fully healthy life for as long as I'm here? So that, like you said, I can be on the floor with my grandkids and playing around. I want to be I mean, my youngest is going to graduate when I'm 61. 61 used to feel like it was old. And now I'm like, man, that's not very old at all. That's not far
Right.
away.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so that's where the journey started, in the sides of like, how do I interact with my kids better? And that discipline started me going, well, they'll learn that from me. If they come to the gym, they'll learn this from me, because it's just normal. If you grew up in the church, there's a part of you that it always feels like Sunday is a day for church and a day for rest, even if you don't go anymore. There's this feeling there because that's what you learned when you were little. And so I figured I will make normal working out a normal thing. That's what we do. And so health and eating right and those kind of things are just part of our family dynamic.
Exactly.
Um,
Same in ours. We wanted to just be
dude, I
one
love that.
being.
Yeah.
This is a good one because I wanted to make it obvious, and I wanted to make it attractive. I think that's a key ingredient there, is you have to make it attractive,
Mm.
because some dads
Mhm.
are doing the right thing, but the way they do it, the kids are looking at them like, I do not want to participate in
Yep.
that. That does not look pleasant or attractive. Or maybe
Yeah.
there's something off. You're like, I don't really want to be like my dad because of whatever. And so they miss
Yeah.
that. So I knew I wanted to make it obvious, make it a family thing, and make it fun. And so
Hmm.
even from when they were really little, I was just doing crazy hard stuff. But I had to be smiling and laughing and joking around, be like, this kills. And I
Yeah.
love it. I'm having a blast. And my
Yeah.
kids were looking at me like, how? But now they're teens. Oh, bro, they will dig into a deep, deep challenge with me and just eat it
I
up.
love that. Yeah,
Just eat
I
it.
love that. That's massive. Yeah, it's that whole concept of in CrossFit, I've always called it the fellowship of the suffering, right? So we get
Yes.
into this class and we're like cussing and hating our lives. And when it's over, we're like, man, that sucked.
That
I'll
was
see you tomorrow.
awesome.
That
Yeah,
kind of, you
exactly.
know. And so I look at that for them is do hard things. I'll say it all the time. I'm like, we're feathers. We do hard things until they're easy, and then we find something else.
I love this.
And so
Ours is Dennings do hard things.
yeah,
DDHD. Was
I
Denning
love that.
ADHD. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And it makes them like we were talking on in that live where we were saying it makes them just go, "Oh, this is what we do." Like this is just part of life. We're teaching them when you get them as a baby, they know nothing. So you literally have this wonderful ability to show them the world that they're going to believe in. And whatever you do, that's the world they are going to see.
That
So
becomes
we
their
might as
way
well
of being. It's the programming
exactly.
and the imprinting. Man,
Yeah. So
right.
when Absolutely. So when I realized that, and I can't say when that was, it's been it's definitely been inside of the past 6 years at least where that really clicked in. And then I was like, that means that my own self-discipline has to take over because I have to be the guy that goes, if I want them to read, they have to catch me reading. You know, they say all the time, "Oh, I hate reading," and then I'm sitting there reading, and it's just at some point they're going to go, "Dad reads all the time." Yes, it's what we do, and I liken it to exercise. So I'll be like, "Yeah, but do you want to have a body? Like, do you want to be able to do the things that Dad does?" Yeah, okay, then you get in the gym with me. But exercise for your mind, that's reading. So you're working out your mind.
Exactly. Get
Yeah,
in those books and do the mental workouts. This
yeah,
is the
man.
perfect lead in then to what are your other core philosophies you and your wife live by? Education,
Yeah.
health and fitness, keep going.
Yeah. So again, this is one that I tell parents is very difficult, but I'm all for questioning.
Same.
You know, ask questions. Don't believe don't I don't mean don't believe anything, but I mean give yourself the ability to say, well, why is that?
Yep.
And so my kids are allowed to question rules in our house, which
Same.
I hate, but at the same time, they should be allowed to, right? And if because the core belief there is if you just take everything that you're told and just do what you're told always, when they're adults, whoever's authority tells them what to do and they'll just do what they're told.
Exactly.
And honestly, living in the United States at this moment, I don't want that for my children. I want them to
Exactly.
question and I want them
Man,
to say,
there's a lot of places around the world you're like, nah,
right?
please question authority, please.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're allowed to question those things. They're allowed to like call me out. So the other day, and this one was I kind of just came up with it, even though it's a part of what we do, is I'm always like, hey, we help each other, we work together. But Finley is my 8-year-old, and he is only a year and 6 days older than Wyatt, my 7-year-old, and he tends to tell Wyatt what to do all the time. It's really frustrating because I'm like, dude, just like get out of his ass, like stop, right? Um, so the other day he was doing something and Finn was all up on him, and I'm like, hey, we are on the same team. I'm like, so that's not how we treat each other. Like yours and mine and why that's we're all going the same direction to do the same thing because we are a team. And I gave Finn the permission. I'm like, you know, when daddy's upset and I'm raising my voice, or I'm trying not to do that, but I do it, or you feel like I'm not being kind, I'm like, that's your chance to say, Dad, aren't we on the same team? And
Yeah.
I will hate it, but it will click in my mind. Yeah, he's not trying to go against me, just like I'm not trying to go against him. We're on the same team. And
Exactly.
that hopefully will continue to help them just do that. So same team, definitely.
Love that. I
Yeah.
want to kind of double tap into something you said a moment ago that if we allow them, even invite them to question us and to
Mm,
question everything and to push back a little bit, it's more work for us up front. It's more frustration. It requires more thought from us. It requires more persuasion instead of
mhm,
do it because I say so, do it because
mhm,
I'm the boss around here, which
mhm.
doesn't fly. And you're like, okay, I got to walk you through this. I got to think about it. I got to give you a good reason. And our rule is if I can't give you a legitimate reason, then you don't have to do it.
Right?
If I haven't
Yeah.
thought through it enough to be like, no, this is a legit reason, you don't have to do it. So it's more work up front. It's more burden, so to speak, on
Yeah.
us. But then later on, it plays out so well because they have learned how to think and how to
Yes.
lead themselves. They're autonomous. So literally by the time they're reaching their teens, they're making good decisions on their own. They're evaluating people and situations. And you're like, kudos, son. Way to go, daughter.
Yeah.
Like you handled that like a champ. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about you being one of those iconic troubled teens. Like you're
Yeah.
owning this situation because I was willing to do the hard work early on and help you
Yeah,
through.
totally. Yeah, I have a friend who we were just talking about this. My best friend since I was 5 came down and visited this past weekend, and we were talking about his 12-year-old who is like, "Well, can we just do this? Can we just do that?" And he's like, "Dude, I said no. No means no." And I said to him, "You know, the hardest part about this is that I want my kids to do that
Yep.
because no doesn't always mean no. I was in sales for years, and no is not
No,
always a no. It might
no
be a
is the
not right
first step
now."
to a sale. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So I said to him, I want them to know how to do that. Like I'm the sparring partner at that point. So literally they got to beat up on me and I got to be able to take it so that when they go into the real world and they're asking questions, they're not afraid to get a no. They're not afraid to keep digging. And come at it at a different angle. But man, I really want to say, dude, question everything. No doesn't always mean no, unless it's dad. Then I'm really serious, but I can't do that. I got to just take the hits, you know.
Yeah, you can't. You're right. It's such a great point. You can't pull that card, because we often want to pull that card and no, hey, I said I'm the dad, I'm the boss here. Like, no, we don't pull it because we don't want to go through the work of the negotiation. But we
Right.
have to be the other negotiator. We have to be the sparring partner. We have
Yeah.
to put in the work so that they get all the development to become
Hmm.
men and women of character and
Yeah.
competence.
Absolutely. And sometimes I may not have a good reason, but I still have to stand and say this can't be done. So my oldest daughter is 17 and she has Instagram, I think, and she has TikTok. I she is I co-parent with her mom. I'm not a fan of that stuff. So I mean I'm on Instagram, but I'm an adult, right? So I don't like that. But she's coming back saying I want Snapchat. And dude, I still to this day cannot say anything that I can't tell you the reason other than it makes not, I don't like the feeling. Like
Yeah.
something about Snapchat feels sinister to me because everything can disappear and almost like you can hide what you're doing. And I told her, the only thing I can tell you is it's my job to say, to keep you safe. And all of the red flags are going off
Yep.
because of this. And I'm the only one standing between her and Snapchat. Her mom's already said she's cool with it. If I'm cool with it, like I'm the only one. And she is like, my friends are on there. That's how they talk. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, and I brought up something at one point and I said, so what would happen if this happened? Like somebody pretended to be Kate and then it wasn't her, and then she invited you out, and then what? And now the messages have disappeared. And she's like, well, I would just text her to make sure it was her. And I'm like, well, then just text her,
Text
you
her.
know, like
Exactly. No, and
but
brother, I think your reason is a great reason. That it just feels off. It
yeah,
feels dangerous. And if we can learn to articulate that well enough, be persuasive and influential, if we've earned a lot of respect with our kids, then you're absolutely right. There's times where you say, I don't know intellectually, maybe I can't walk you through this, but man, it feels dangerous. It feels wrong.
yeah.
Go
And
go
you
try to
just
pull
trust
it
me.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and being able to say, just trust me. I mean, guys who do this, we have a lot more like we carry a lot more weight or we have a lot more money in the bank to say, just so to speak, to say, listen, I can't articulate it well. All I can say is I need you to trust me. And because I've been the practice dummy and let you beat me up and ask me questions and actually said times where I've said no and then I'm like, yeah, actually it's fine because I don't know why I'm saying no.
Yep.
Because I've done that work and taken those shots, when I say, please just trust me on this one, I have a lot more clout to say
Exactly.
that,
Yep.
you know?
We got a huge the relationship bank account is not overdrawn. There's a lot
Yeah.
of deposits in there. Same thing. I can go to any one of my kids and be like, guys, I just need you to trust me on this one.
Yeah.
And because of that, because of all the deposits, because of all the work we've done in the trenches, everyone will be like, okay, Dad, I got you.
Yeah.
Even if I don't agree,
That's
I got you on this one because of
yeah.
that. So you're spot on, brother.
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah.
You gotta make those deposits. Okay, keep going. Other core philosophies behind your message and your family.
Yeah, so I keep coming back to, and I've refined it more and more because I've gone to the side of, and I don't call it gentle parenting because that sounds weak to me as a man. And so I know a lot of guys that have been like, yeah, I can't do that because it feels weak.
Right.
However, conscious manhood, where I think through things and I work things out in my mind and I question and I allow things to marinate, doing that and being able to say, yeah, I don't think I believe that anymore because of this new information, and being okay to switch views. Being a conscious man allows me to be a gentler father so that I can connect with my kids, right? So connection is the whole point. And so along the way, as in how I teach guys, is I'm going, the whole point is I'm looking to the end. What happens on my deathbed, right? I don't want them to be like, oh, like get a call from one of their siblings who lives nearby and says, yeah, dad died. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll come up for the funeral. Or maybe I won't, you know, and I don't know their kids. And I don't want that.
Yep.
But if I treat them poorly now, when I'm there, they won't want to be around me.
Exactly.
You know, I have 20 years with them somewhat in the house. But I could have 40, 60, 70 years with them outside of the house and all of their kids. I want them to go, hey, we're going to we call my grandfather, we called him Pap. That's what I'm going to be called because he had such an influence on my life.
That's
So
awesome.
it's like, I want them to be like, we're going to Pap's. And all the kids are like, yay, we're going to Pap's house. I want that. So I have to be the one, I have to be the man who says, I'm going to keep that connection.
Yep.
And that means I have to bite my tongue and pay attention to what I say and treat them with the respect that they deserve as humans. And so those are the core values in our houses. You're a full-fledged human from the moment you're born. You deserve all the respect that dad and mom do. We don't speak to people that way. It's not, you don't talk to me that way, I'm your dad. It's, hey, we, as in all of us, don't talk to other humans that way because the humans deserve respect. I am,
and even from parents, we don't talk to kids that way because
yes,
because they're small, right?
yeah,
It's people are
yeah,
people no matter how small. And if we model that, then they're like, oh yeah, well, it's the same for everybody because our parents don't talk down to us and don't treat us like
right.
crap just because we're little.
Yeah, I saw somebody say something to the effect of, it was like a meme or whatever, but it said something like, treat your kids in such a way that when they're disrespected, they recognize it and are like, that's not right, that's not normal, and
That's
you
good.
don't get to do that to me. We don't, like, they will have that moment where they go, we don't do that. And that dissonance will make them either say, I'm not, they'll either confront it or they'll say, I'm not hanging out with that person because they're completely disrespectful. I don't want to be around that.
Exactly. And
And
they'll feel
I,
it and sense it immediately.
exactly,
Yeah.
because it's so dissonant with the world that we've helped them create, you know?
Yes.
And
And
so,
how to help your daughters date the right guy?
yes, for
She'll feel
real.
that immediately. If this guy shows up and he's disrespectful, it's like, hit the curb, bro. My dad
Absolutely.
has
Yeah.
never talked to my mom like that, and he's never talked to me
Right.
like that. You're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome when, because as a dad, and I have 4 sons and 2 daughters. So when you think of that ratio as a guy, you're like, my daughters are protected. And I think that way. And I even said, like, and now I've gotten far enough into working out where I'm pretty fit. So I've said to my oldest, yeah, you can date anybody. He just has to beat me in a workout first. And she's like, Dad, come on, nobody can do that. And I'm like, yeah, I
Yes.
know. One of those kind of things. But I want her to see certain, she's watching me. So certain aspects I have, she's gonna be like, that's the guy I'm gonna date. And the number one that I want is that he's respectful.
Yep.
On the other side of that, you still have a crew of dudes behind you that are going to step up and be like, hey, bro, you don't treat any of our family that way. And you're definitely not going to treat our sister or daughter that way.
Yep.
Because we've got your back.
Love that. So this whole thing that you're kind of the long game into
Mm,
kids, grandkids, and all those years, um, I refer to that as like family legacy, right? Because we're
yeah.
working on our marriage, we're working on our parenting and fatherhood, but there's this piece in there that's legacy work.
Yeah.
It's the long stuff, the stuff that plays out in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And
Yeah.
that's that core piece that's so important.
Yeah.
I have a curiosity. So your oldest two, do they live with their mom?
So Zeke is in college and he decided to, like, he's nearby. But so when he came back, he decided to stay with his mom.
Okay.
And that is actually because he was like, our house is too crazy and I got all this stuff for college to do. That's at least what he said.
He's like,
So,
all the little kids, man.
because they would literally, when he shows up, everything shuts down. They could be in full meltdown mode, the youngers. And if he opens the door and he's like, what's up? His voice, they're like, Zeke! And everybody's sprinting to the door. So they love hanging out with him. And I can see where that would be the case. I will say there has been, because I raised him as a traditional dad. So a lot of my learning, and unfortunately a lot of my learning happened on him. And so there's a lot of stuff in my life with him as a little that I regret that we've walked through and talked through, but it's still there.
Yep.
And he's still got to work through it now because it's his.
Yep.
Even if I put it on him, it's still, now it's something he's got to work through. And so there is some of that, I think, where it's a little easier at mom's. We require stuff. We'll be like, no, it's family dinner, dude. That kind of thing. If you're here, you're with us. And so I think a little bit of that. And then his younger sister, she goes back and forth still. She has a week with us and a week with her mom. And that's
So
hard on all of us.
it was super hard. And this was
Yeah.
my curiosity. And let's talk through this a little bit. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys who are going to have similar situations. Either they go away for work. I know a lot of guys that travel for work a lot.
Yeah.
Even guys, when we lived up in Alaska, there was guys working up on the North Slope. They go
Yeah.
work for a full week and then they come home for a week and gone for a week. So
Yeah.
so with your son kind of moving out and doing his own thing and your daughter switching back and forth, what have you found ways to stay really engaged and
Sure.
to keep the relationship, keep making deposits, even when there's either distance gaps or any kind of
Mhm.
gap or separation?
Yeah. So you've got to take in, I think teenagers do this, right? So your kids, when they're little, they're constantly all over you
Mhm.
and you just want some space, but your teenagers are going to give you space. And unfortunately, it's going to be that I wish they didn't give me so much space. So enjoy the little because they're all over. Enjoy that because as they get older, they're going to start wanting to hang out with friends more. They're going to be on their own some more. I wasn't I wasn't as cognizant of this stuff. So my oldest daughter and my oldest son went to actual like regular school, and so she still does that because she didn't want to either homeschool or go to the other school to switch, just being a junior in high school. And so she has homework and other things that take her away from us. My parents didn't make me, which I always thought was weird. And now that I'm older, I'm like, man, they should have done that. So they both have jobs and they go to school. So there's a lot less time with them. That being the case,
Just right there. School, homework, jobs, friends, if they do any sports. I
yeah,
mean, the amount of time left over to be with parents is so small.
yeah,
And whenever I think about that, I think, gosh, we cannot, how dare we be looking at our phones
yeah,
in the tiny
yeah,
amount of time we have together?
yeah,
Or, hey, great to see you. And I'm distracted. I'm all over. Like
yeah,
the moments you add that up, you put it in a pie chart and you start calculating the minutes you have with your teens when they're
yeah.
teens.
It's
Oh
yeah.
man, we gotta be fully engaged when we have them.
Yeah, absolutely. So true. And here's where I will say that I like the phone and I like that they're on Instagram and stuff like that. Is that a lot of the times I'll see stuff when I'm going through and I'm like, oh, that's for Zeke. And then we have conversations. Or same with Amelia. I'll see something and I'll shoot it off to her. What I really do is we keep ourselves open for conversation. So, great example. Last night, I am dead tired. I'm up at 4. I've got a lot of stuff going on in the morning. I was doing some like soul work yesterday, so I was completely exhausted by the end of the day. And she's having this conversation that is important, and I'm like, okay, hold my eyes open, please, God.
Exactly.
But yeah, like we can
And
do
they
this.
start
Like just
talking at
being,
11 or 12, and
eh,
you're like,
dude,
"Woo!"
exactly. They finally start talking
Yep,
at 11 o'clock at night. So now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're
yep.
still going through it, but I don't stop that. My wife
Yeah.
even said something to me last night. She's like, "Are you frustrated?" I was like, "No." I said, "It's hard, but I'm not mad at all. She needs to have those conversations, and we need to be available for them. This is
Yep.
just when they happen. So I'm just getting less sleep, and that's going to be okay. I'll just, I'll recover at some point. So any chance that they start talking, I like, what do I need to throw out? How do I pay full attention to this? I'm not always great at it, but I will say that the moment I recognize that this is a deeper conversation, I start trying to uncover more and just keep them talking to get down to the root. My wife is uber good at that. She has an intuition that she's like, that's not the thing. This is the thing. And I'm going to make you tell me that. And she'll just, I don't even know how she does. She'll do it to me. And I'm like, oh, she caught me, that she's so good at it that I love that we have those conversations together with them because she is so intuitive on that. And she'll just keep them talking into it until we get to that deep part where even last night, my daughter's like, well, I'm going to cry. And we're like, well, cry. Like, that's okay.
Hey,
Just
yeah,
do it.
get it out.
Yeah.
I would say, hands down, one of the best ways to connect with our teens is to do what you just said. Just clear the space, the time, the mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever, clear it all and give them the chance to talk.
Yeah.
And sometimes
And
if you open up, they'll talk, they'll go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
let
And
them
you
go.
gotta, that's exactly right. You gotta, she was actually having like an existential crisis, not last night, but a couple weeks ago. And that's normal, right? I mean, teenage girls are going to have multiple existential crises. But this one, again, I grew up in a pastor's house. Like church is a part of life. Like we believe in God. And she said something to the effect of like, well, why do we even have to believe in God? And instead of having a freak out session about why you're supposed to do that, and throwing all the reasons I believe that she should and all the logic and all that, I just said, don't. And letting her sit in that, she just started to rewind. Like, I was like, well, then don't believe in him. Like, I'm not here to make you do that. But it's so part of her that she also goes, wait, I don't think I want to not do that. And now she's talking and I'm just letting her go. I felt like a dad win in that moment because I know that back in the day, there would have been all sorts of, if I never would have said that. I never would have had those conversations with my parents. There was a lot of, it was more so like fear based. Like I just like want to keep my parents away from me. But with that, I gave her the ability to start working through it on her own. I'm not telling her anything,
It's so
and
powerful. And
then
the fear of a dad, like, but if I say don't, if I leave that door open as a possibility, oh, they might go there. But there's so much power, especially if you set the
mhm,
example and
yeah,
you're living, you've earned the respect, you're living a great life, and you say, well, just walk through it. Walk through
yeah,
it mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Just roll with it and see if it aligns with the kind of person you want to be.
yeah, absolutely. And giving them the space to be that person. The teenage thing, I know you have older kids, so you're in a great spot to help guys out too, because and that's all honestly for me. I spend a lot of time talking about the littles because I'm like, this is where you build all the stuff you're going to deal with later. So build it well, so you don't have to repair it, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But with older kids, that's the stuff is I've done everything I can to build them when they're little so that they're confident and they're willing to ask all of those things. So when they're older and they're questioning stuff, you just sit there and yeah, and you're having a conversation with someone who can actually have a conversation. You know what I mean? And letting them work through that.
Oh, that's big. Just catch that right there. Let them have a conversation with somebody who can actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I've ever really articulated that, but like non-negotiable skill set there for dads. Be
Yeah.
capable of having meaningful conversations with your kids at any age and stage. And
Yeah.
that's something that has to be developed and worked on in practice.
Absolutely.
Be that guy.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's shift gears a little bit here. How do
Yeah,
you
man.
how do you manage work time, productivity, 6 kids, being there for your wife, being there for your kids, being there for the conversations? We talked a little bit about this on the Instagram live we did,
Mm.
but walk us through your schedule, your week, like what's working for you, what's not working for you,
Yeah.
in order to hit all the roles, because we have to be
Sure.
providers and protectors, and we have to be there.
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's a lot of guilt in dads for not being there. And I've actually heard TD Jakes, I think it is, who says for men, we and fathers specifically, we say, if I give you time, I can't make money that allows me to give you the life that I want to give you. But if I go make money, I have to go do that away. And so I can't give you time. And it's funny because I really, I don't resonate with that at all. It's very dissonant to me because I sit there and go, there has to be a way that I can be with my family and still take care of them. And I
Absolutely.
will say that I am transitioning the dads don't babysit thing for me, from my standpoint, it just all of a sudden just took off. My wife's like, no, you were doing things and it hit and people resonated and that's what built it. But for me, it just felt like I was doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden something hit and it caught traction, and then we skyrocketed like a hockey stick. And so I really didn't feel prepared for it. And so I had like a 9 to 5. And when I got to, I own a business that is like, it's not brick and mortar, but it is, I'm out and about. I do Christmas lights of all things. It's crazy. Um, but so it's seasonal. And so it's one of those things where we were we've been worried about how do we do money, and I do life in seasons. So we all know that when Christmas hits, that month or two beforehand, I'm not around very much. But when I am home, nothing else happens. I mean, a lot of people would say that if you watched me pretty normal when October hit, a lot of my posting tapered down. And that's because the only time I could do it was is if I'm on a roof, or if if it's at night with my family, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so so I guess I would say I look at it two ways. One, sleep for me is important, but it's going to suffer first. I would rather take the hits of suffering than my family suffer missing out on things. And so I'll work deeper into the night, or I'll get up early. I call it being a man of the dark, right? That's when I do work on me, and that's when I do work on things to like produce the family. And then specifically with my light business, it's a season. So we all know season hits, dad misses out on a lot. I hate it. But at the same time, when it's done, I'm just engaged. Exactly. Like when we finish the last house before Christmas, and I like the rest of December, I don't do anything. I don't try anything, because I want to be there still.
That's such an important discipline that I think it's easy to miss out on. We get going, we get grinding, we get working hard, quote, for a season, and then we just keep going. And we have to be disciplined enough to say, to stop and be like, no, okay, now I'm switching gears. I'm going to fully engage over here. And cultivate that skill and that ability to switch gears and be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I've heard it said, money you can always get back, but time you can't. And it's true. I mean, my youngest is 6 weeks old, and it feels like I just held him for the first time. It's crazy how fast it goes. My oldest is about to be 20. Dude, that blows my mind. I know you feel the same way. And so it's like, it's not like I can always make more money. I can start a whole new job at 60 if I want, but I can't go back in time into the first 7 years of life of my children and imprint all the things that I want them to know about me and about life and about the world and about themselves, so that it builds them from there. I can't go back to Zeke's never going to be 15 again. He's never going to start driving a car again. He already learned that. I can't go back. So I'd rather, if you go with that mindset, be willing to give up the thing that can come back, not the thing that will not come back.
Yes, which is such a hard decision. This is so cool, because we had the same experience when our kids were little. Rachel and I sat down multiple times, and we're like, we could really dig deep right now and focus on the business.
Yeah.
I'm like, but the kids will suffer. And we thought, well, it's just for a time. But we just kept coming back. No, if anything's going to suffer, if it's suffering between business and family, business suffers. The business will just have to grow slower.
Yeah.
Rather
that's literally where we're at.
Growth than the kids. And so we invested in the kids. And there were times when we had financial struggles or challenges, right? We didn't have the money we wanted.
Yeah.
And it was always worth it. Even in the frustration moment, we were just like, man, we could have solved this problem, but we would still choose the same thing again. And
absolutely.
It was legitimately family first. And it matters, where you and I both know so many people who put the finances first, and the family suffers. And then later on, even all the finances can't bring back the family stuff that was neglected or hurt.
Yeah. I mean, I look at my own life, right? My dad, like, I had a great childhood. I had a great teen, like, nothing wrong with it. But what I can say is, when I look back at life, there's like, I remember a week that my dad and I went on a camping trip. I remember actually being in the band when I was like in 6th grade, and my mom was the only one there. And then I remember one time playing, like, shooting some hoops with dad at the basketball court right outside our house. And then he came to the first game of the season of my senior year, and I scored, and he had to look up from a book because he was trying to study for what he was going to preach on. Like, he missed out on so much, even though he was around. And that's pre-cell phone. So you have all these dads that can do things now, work from home and all that, but we're so crammed into this stuff that we miss out. And I don't look back in anger at that at all. I just look back and go, I don't want to do that. I want my kids to look back and go, Dad was always around. What did Dad do? What was his job? Because we don't even know. Like I just like that's kind of how I want to be. Like, how did he
Same.
do what you know?
Yeah.
But he was always there. That's literally I want them to look back on their whole life and just go, Dad was always there, and he was playing with us. He was watching movies with us. He made us popcorn. He cooked. Like all the things I do, I want them to look back and go, Dad was always doing stuff. How did he do that? You know, that's
Exactly.
what I want.
And mine was same conclusion, different experience. My dad was never there, and the stepdads were never there.
Yeah.
When I was out on my own at 16, I'm like, nah, man, I'm always gonna be there. Just like you, I'm
Yes.
always gonna be there. We are gonna stack memories like crazy. My kids look
Yeah.
back on their childhood, same thing. Man, dad was always there. We were always doing the most epic things. But like, and you and I are similar. Like, you can think back of just a couple of really significant memories with our dads. I
Yeah.
want my kids to be like, dude, it's all with my dad. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Dude,
everything.
you said that on the live, and I seriously, at the end of it, I know we got cut off, but at the end of that, I was like, I'm stealing that from you because I didn't do that much. And I'm like, okay, how can I do what you said? I'm stacking memories. That's baller status fatherhood right there. That's all I want is to just stack memories where they can't escape
Exactly.
all the stuff they did with dad. Well, my dad
Exactly.
and I did this. My dad and I did this. Holy cow! When did dad work? That kind of thing.
Exactly. And I think it's important to point out because it was a total mindset shift for me to realize it's possible to be a phenomenal family man and a great businessman.
Yeah.
It's totally possible to maintain great fitness, great family, and great finances.
Hmm.
It's just optimization. That's kind of my thing is like it's whole life or holistic optimization. Just
Yeah.
optimize the things you need to do, and you can do all those things. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be broke in order to have a great family, right? Or there's no way I can be fit, so I gotta just settle for the dad bod because I want to be with my kids and I want to work. Like you don't have to do that
Yeah.
either. There's ways to pull this off. And I
Yeah.
think that's such an important reminder. You just have to figure out what works for you, right? For each guy.
I, I love that. Honestly, you are so inspiring to me. I know in the two conversations we've had, I'm like, dude, I gotta like hang out with this guy. I'm coming to Portugal. Like that's the way I feel about it. But like you're so right. When guys, specifically on the fitness side of things, because I think discipline breeds discipline. So if you pick the one
Yes.
that you're actually going to see a lot of the results and possibly a lot of results early, I would say work on your body, work on your fitness. And the number one thing people say is, "Well, I just don't have time." And I'm like, I get up at 4 a.m. When do you wake up? And it's not because I'm trying to say that I'm better than you. I'm just saying that's the decision. Is I'm not willing to sacrifice fitness for whatever else. And I don't want to give the excuse. I don't have time feels like an excuse. And that being said, I know that there are nuances to that. So let's talk. But for the most part, if you're sleeping in until you absolutely have to get up for your job and you're sprinting out of the house, you're probably picking up coffee on the way or grabbing a muffin, you've already started behind the eight ball. Like
Exactly.
just shift, go get up at 5, go work out. Now you're home. You could make coffee instead of buying it and probably eat something a little healthier.
And I know just from our conversation here, I know you understand this next principle about intensity.
Mm.
There's I don't know, I like to see things visually, like there's a knob or a lever for
Yeah.
intensity. And all you have to do is grab that sucker and just crank it. And I
Yeah.
know just from what you've said about your fitness and well, I know from martial arts
Yeah.
and from CrossFit, there's a level of intensity in there it's off the charts. It's not like, hey, yeah, we go to the gym consistently. It's we go
Yeah.
get a workout, see my buddies. It's like, no, we go in there and we put on the pain.
It's true.
Something happens in the heart and the head and the soul that changes a man, but it also gives us an advantage. So like, there's days
Mm.
where I'm so busy and I'm like, dude, there's no way I have an hour to work out. I have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Most guys and most people are just like, well, it's all or nothing. If I can't work out, then I'm not going to work out. I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, man. I could make you puke and I could put you in the fetal position crying for mercy in 10 minutes. It doesn't take
Absolutely.
that long. So if you've
Yeah.
got 10 minutes, here's the thing I like to do because I did it one day. I was like, I don't have any time. And I'm like, no, sucker. I grabbed a 50-pound kettlebell. I put on my favorite workout song and I tried to just do the swings for just one song. Dude, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was laying down like that, killed me. And the song was like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I felt great. Ran down, grabbed a shower, I'm off. And I'm like, that was less than 3 minutes. And I
Yeah.
was spent.
Yeah.
So, like, we gotta stop making the excuses and turn up the intensity. And part of it, I'm with you. I'm an early guy. And
Yeah.
as soon as you have kids, you're like, look, man, you got to get up earlier.
Well, wasn't it
That's where the window
Arnold?
is.
That's right. When Arnold Schwarzenegger said, you get your 6 hours of sleep, and he goes, and I know everybody says you need 8, but just sleep faster. And I'm like, okay, if the guy could do all those things, and he's like, he worked on 6 hours of sleep, and we're talking that guy worked out hard, then there's not much I'm doing in my life at the moment that I can't get 6 hours of sleep and go from there, you know? And
What's interesting about that, I'll just chime in on from my own
yeah,
experience. I've found the better shape I'm in and the better I'm eating, 6 is enough.
yeah,
When I struggle with 6 is I realize, man, I've let my cardio slip a little bit and my
yeah,
eating hasn't been fantastic. But if I'm eating really well and I'm in great shape, 6 hours seems to be enough.
yeah,
With an occasional punch,
absolutely.
I'm like, dude, that Saturday I was spent. I slept the full 8 hours. All good.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
that's
find that I actually feel worse if I go over that number at times. I'm like, man, I feel sore and not right. It's almost like my body's like, you don't need more than 6.
too
Get
much
up.
time in bed, brother. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Gosh, this is so good. We can go on and on about all kinds of stuff, but what what stands out to you like just a core message that men need to hear? Wonder like maybe I don't know what it is. Is it something that you see that men are struggling with, or something that just actually really really works? What if you had a platform to speak to
Mhm.
men? What would you say? Like what comes out like, hey, this is a
Yeah,
non-negotiable. This one matters so much.
yeah. I feel like it's one, so that's hard. But I want to say, do it on purpose.
Mhm.
Right? That would be the statement I would make. Do everything on purpose. Look at your life and decide what you want. I'm constantly telling Zeke this, my oldest. I'm like, what do you want? Do that. Right? Don't like he's going back and forth on I need to work and make money, but I want to do music. And I'm sitting here going, you live in an age where you can make money doing music online. Like you can write music, you can write one verse of a song and put it online. And if people like it, it will trend. And then you can write the rest of the song, put it out there. It's that kind of stuff where do your life on purpose. What serves you, but do it on purpose, everything. And I think that's where I honestly think that's where men are failing ourselves.
Mhm.
We've been told that we don't have a purpose, really. Like the and this is not a bash against it, but the women's empowerment movement is awesome. I want my daughters empowered, but we don't have to do that to the detriment of men or boys to say that they have no value, right? Because they have value, they serve a purpose. And what is that? What is that purpose? You should be doing hard things because your body responds to that. It makes your mind resilient, and that makes you a better human to continue to do things like whatever it is that you want to do in the future.
Love it.
And so
And
that's
not
what I would
just
say.
having like a core life purpose, but do everything on purpose. I
Yeah,
get up
exactly.
on purpose, not like,
On
well, I'll
purpose.
just wander around the kitchen and look for like get up on purpose. When I sit down at
Yeah,
my desk, I'm sitting on purpose. When we go to the gym, we go to the gym on purpose. When I'm sitting down with
absolutely.
my wife, I'm on purpose. When I'm with my kids, I'm with them on purpose.
On
And
purpose.
you're so spot on for every little thing we're doing. If we do it purposefully, it eliminates so much wasted energy and effort and time and disconnect where I'm like, yeah, I spent time with my kids, but
Right?
all that meant was you were in the same room and
Yeah.
they were on their phones, you were on yours, they were distracted. Like, no, that wasn't time. So if you do it on purpose, everything on purpose,
Yeah.
then you get the power behind it.
Absolutely. And then you can also choose what you're not going to do, right? You're like, that doesn't serve a purpose. So like, I don't have anything here. Why am I doing this? And you can clean that out. Now you're opening up more time to do the more things that are important on purpose.
Let's talk about that just for a second.
Yeah.
It's often the things we don't do that make the biggest difference. What are some of those things in your journey where you're like, not done? That is out of my life.
Yeah. I would say this is one that takes a lot of time. It required time from me, but it's one I'm not willing to let go of. And it's cooking food in our house. I said it earlier, but it's like, so I've basically said I'm done with, we do eat out, but I'm done with that being how we live, right? Because there's so much stuff that I can't see that's getting put in the foods, and that affects my body, and my food becomes me, and the food becomes my kids. So what am I putting in them, right? So a lot of parents, we get up late and then we're running, and so we're throwing bars and whatever kind of weird treats and muffins at our kids on the drive. They're we pick them up and we're taking them to soccer practice or whatever else after school. So they're eating in the back. So I'm eating food, seeing my kids in the rearview mirror. That's not how I want to eat. That's not how I want to be. And so that stuff is for us. It's just we don't do that. And we cook at home, and that takes forever. There's cooking, there's eating, and there's cleanup. And I'm like, the cleanup is the worst. But we chose to not have a life of fast food and microwave food, and we chose to not have that life. And so it requires from us it requires the cooking and the cleanup. And so it didn't give me more time to give that up. It took more time, but in the long run, I'm sitting at a table with my children eating a cooked meal that we made, and we don't do phones, we don't do there's nothing on the table but food. We do like a family game. Usually the kids will want to do it where it's called guess and 10, but you're like guessing what animal they are. And so we're interacting that way. We ask like, what's their favorite part of the day? What's the worst part of the day? But we're interacting there. And because we chose to cook food and make it healthy and make it something, we get so much more out of it.
Yeah, so good. More work, but a much higher standard.
Absolutely.
Eliminate the kind of the fast food family life.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of people, you can speak to this too. A lot of people put their kids in all sorts of sports and stuff. We don't do a lot of that, but that's because I notice when you have 6 kids, not everybody's interested in soccer, right? So now we've got, you're going to have dance, you're going to have soccer, you're going to have baseball, you're going to have softball, there's basketball, there's so many things you can do. There's piano, there's singing lessons. So now every night of the week is taken over, and I'm just, all I'm doing is like Sherpa. I'm the Sherpa for my kids, this taking them around everywhere. I'm just driving them, and I don't want to do that.
Yep.
That,
brother. Do not do the endless taxi driving.
Yeah.
Way too overscheduled. Yeah, same. We're the same on that too. This is great. Anything else come to mind that don't do's? Those are both absolutely solid.
And that's not a hit on people who want to do that stuff. I'm just like,
but
bring
your
it down.
point is like, if it's going to get done, it has to be done effectively, where it's not a draw on the family.
Yeah.
And it's easy to walk through these things, think about them, just be objective about it, and take the things like, is this truly adding value to my life and to my family? And we absolutely have to get better at saying no to things.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, well, when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to everything else, right? So if you get really good at choosing what you're saying yes to, the no's come without even having to try. But a lot of times we just say yes to everything, and then we're crazy, trying not to say no to anything. You're so right. So right.
Nate, this is awesome, brother. It's a great conversation, man. Tell the listeners where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Dads Don't Babysit. It's dads_don't_babysit. I tell people all the time, I check the hidden messages and all of that just to make sure I don't miss anything from anybody reaching out. I'm here to help. So questions or anything I can do there. I have a community of guys that can connect with me deeper there. All they got to do is DM me on Instagram to catch that. I'll send them the link for that, but they can connect with us there and go deeper in that fatherhood journey. And then Nate at dadsdon'tbabysit.tv is my email if they want to go old school and email me.
Yeah, sweet. That's awesome. Fantastic. Nate, thanks, brother. You're an inspiration.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for being an example of fatherhood, man.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Seriously.